Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Indus Waters Treaty to remain in abeyance until Pakistan ends cross-border terrorism, asserts External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh questions Pakistan's ability to handle nuclear weapons, urges IAEA supervision. Donald Trump says US close to secure a nuclear deal with Iran. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh today called out Pakistan on nuclear blackmail, raising questions if nuclear weapons were safe in hands of a rogue nation like Pakistan. Addressing the soldiers at the Badami Bagh cantonment in Srinagar today, Rajnath Singh urged International Atomic Energy Agency to take supervision of the weapons.
आज श्रीनगर की धरती से मैं पूरी दुनिया के सामने यह सवाल उठाना चाहता हूं कि क्या ऐसे गैर जिम्मेदार और रोग नेशन के हाथों में परमाणु हथियार सुरक्षित हैं? मैं दुनिया के सामने यह सवाल खड़ा करना चाहता हूं। मैं मानता हूं कि पाकिस्तान के एटमी हथियारों को IAEA इंटरनेशनल एटॉमिक एनर्जी एजेंसी की निगरानी में लिया जाना चाहिए। मैं ये कहना चाहूंगा और साफ तौर पर कहना चाहूंगा।
In Srinagar, the minister reviewed operational preparedness and developments in the wake of Operation Sindoor launch on May 7th. The defence minister also met and interacted with army soldiers and commended them for the success of Operation Sindoor. In his address, the defence minister underscored that Operation Sindoor is not just a name, but it represents a strong commitment. He also highlighted India's will to take decisive action and tough decisions when necessary to defend its interests.
ऑपरेशन सिंदूर सिर्फ एक ऑपरेशन का नाम भर नहीं है, बल्कि यह एक हमारी प्रतिबद्धता है, यह हमारा एक कमिटमेंट है। एक ऐसी प्रतिबद्धता जिसमें भारत ने दिखा दिया कि हम सिर्फ डिफेंस नहीं करते हैं, जब वक्त आता है तो हम कठोर निर्णय भी लेते हैं और कठोर कार्रवाई भी करते हैं।
Flight operations from Srinagar have now been fully restored to pre-incident levels from today. The information was shared by India's Civil Aviation Minister K. Ram Mohan Naidu as he visited Srinagar airport today and reviewed ongoing development work and personally interacted with the dedicated airport staff. In the aftermath of the unfortunate Pahalgam attack, he deeply appreciated the dedication and composure shown by the airport team. The coordination with security forces and Jammu and Kashmir police ensured that passengers could travel safely without panic or disruption. Rescue operations and the support extended at the airport were executed with great care and professionalism.
हमने इंटरेक्ट किया अपने एयरपोर्ट के सारे ऑफिसर्स को से स्टाफ से, तो उनको सबसे पहले धन्यवाद दिया कि जिस तरह से वो कठिन परिस्थितियों में भी उन्होंने जो साहस दिखाया है, तो उसके लिए हम सब गर्व हैं। और उसी तरह हमारे सेना जिस तरह मुंह तोड़ जवाब उन्होंने दिया, ये आतंकवाद का जो सिचुएशन था, उन्होंने बहुत ही टारगेटेड अप्रोच के साथ उन्होंने हमें ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के नाते हमें विजय हासिल करने का एक मौका दिया, और उसके लिए हम पूरे देश सारे गर्व हैं।
Minister Naidu also took a walk through Lal Chowk's Polo View Market and interacted with local shopkeepers. Naidu assured the community of the government's unwavering commitment under Prime Minister Narendra Modi to restore normalcy and boost tourism in the region. Emphasizing the resilience of the local population, Naidu highlighted the swift restoration of flight operations and strengthened security measures, signaling that Srinagar is fully prepared to welcome tourists safely and confidently. In a stirring tribute to the valour and professionalism of Indian soldiers, General Upendra Dwivedi, Chief of the Army Staff, visited forward locations in Srinagar, Uri and Unchi Basi including the Daga Division of Chinar Corps, to personally congratulate and motivate troops for their exceptional performance during Operation Sindoor. Addressing the soldiers, General Dwivedi commended their valor, josh and unwavering vigilance in dominating the line of control during intense engagements. He lauded their precise and bold actions and resulted in fact in the destruction of terror camps in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, a key operational success of Operation Sindoor. The Army Chief also appreciated the humane role played by troops in providing relief and assistance to civilians affected by Pakistan's unprovoked and cowardly cross-LOC shelling. He reaffirmed the Army's resolve to safeguard national sovereignty and maintain a state of high operational preparedness in an ever-evolving threat environment. Meanwhile, in a humanitarian effort following recent cross-border aggression, the Romeo force of the Indian Army is going door-to-door in areas of Poonch near the line of control. These regions were severely impacted by Pakistani shelling on May 9th, which locals say damaged several homes. Army Jawans provided essential aid, including medicines and ration supplies to affected families. They also interacted with residents, offering reassurance and assessing further needs. The initiative is part of the Army's ongoing outreach to support civilians living in forward areas under constant threat. Residents expressed relief and gratitude, praising the Army for their timely response and continued presence. With heightened tensions along the LOC, the Army remains on high alert while also ensuring humanitarian assistance reaches the most vulnerable. Authorities are also assessing the full extent of damage caused by the recent shelling. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar today asserted that India and Pakistan will only talk if they are ready to discuss terror and Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir.
The only thing which remains to be discussed on Kashmir is the vacation of illegally occupied Indian territory in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. We are open to discussing that with Pakistan.
Jaishankar also spoke about how international community stood by India at these time of tensions.
We actually got a lot of international support. Many ministers, many leaders called up PM, many ministers called me up. We had a Security Council resolution which very clearly said that the perpetrators of the attack should be held accountable. And on May 7th morning, we held them accountable through the action which was taken through Operation Sindoor.
India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and Honduras's counterpart Enrique Rena jointly inaugurated the Embassy of Honduras in New Delhi. This inauguration marks a new milestone in the partnership centered on mutual respect and mutual commitment. The two leaders also held discussions on cooperation as Global South partners, including possibilities in health, digital capacity development, energy and disaster response. Speaking after the inauguration, Jaishankar appreciated Honduras's support to India on Operation Sindoor.
Let me first acknowledge the statement of solidarity that we heard from your country on the cowardly terrorist attack in Pahalgam, and we particularly value your public commitment to opposition to terrorism in all its forms, and the fact that it is something which is completely unacceptable to any form of civilized world. We very much appreciate your support and solidarity as we battle terrorism today in our region.
Further, Minister Jaishankar emphasized that over the past 3 decades, economic relations between India and Honduras have steadily expanded, driven by trade, investment and technical cooperation.
In the last 3 decades, our economic engagements have grown steadily. They have been underpinned by trade, by investment, by technical cooperation. Bilateral trade is today a little in excess of $300 million, 310 to be exact. And we have a diversified basket which includes pharmaceuticals, textiles, automobiles and machinery, while we import coffee, wood and leather from Honduras. We think that your country's strategic location, its favorable investment climate and its demand for sustainable solutions make it an attractive destination.
While Honduras's counterpart Enrique Rena also highlighted the India as an important global partner, and he also said that both India and Honduras work closely on the mutual interest of both countries.
India is a very important world player, an important multilateral partner, and I think it's very important for us to develop this relationship. Probably we are the newest member of the Latin American and Caribbean and Central America family of countries that have a presence in India. So for us it's really important, as Minister Jayant mentioned, we have developed a strong cooperation. I think the South has to keep working under the lines of respect of mutual cooperation, mutual interest, respect of our own sovereignties, no intervention, and all the principles that are built in the UN.
Meanwhile, Home Minister Amit Shah visited AIIMS Trauma Center in New Delhi today and checked on the health of the security personnel injured in the biggest ever operation against Naxalism carried out in Kareguttalu Hill across the Chhattisgarh and Telangana border. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Baghdad to host 34th Arab League Summit on May 17. Berlin backs Trump's demand to hike NATO spending target to 5%. And Kalo India Youth Games 2025 concludes today in Patna, Bihar.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked, we just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. US President Donald Trump on Thursday said that US is getting very close to a nuclear deal. He said that Iran has sort of agreed to the terms.
Iran has sort of agreed to the terms. They're not going to make, I call it in a friendly way, nuclear dust. We're not going to be making any nuclear dust in Iran. And we've been strong. I want them to succeed. I want them to end up being a great country. And I think we're getting close to maybe doing a deal without having to do this. There's two steps. There's a very, very nice step and there's a violent step.
Meanwhile, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian said Iran would not bow to any bully in response to Trump's earlier criticism of Tehran during his Gulf tour.
We will not bow down to any bully. This is not just my word, but all women and youth, elites, and those who are zealous will not bow down to any power. Trump thought he could come here and shout slogans that would then be afraid and fall short in the face of his promises. We will not trade the honor and pride of this country with anyone.
US President Donald Trump announced an aerospace agreement between Qatar Airways and Boeing, claiming the $200 billion deal includes the purchase of 160 aircraft. The announcement came during Trump's visit to Doha on the second leg of his 4-day tour to Middle East. Qatar Airways CEO Badr Mohammed Al-Mir and Boeing CEO Kelly Ortberg signed the agreement in the presence of US President and Qatar's Emir, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. Trump and Prince Mohammed, the kingdom's de facto ruler, signed a host of economic and bilateral agreements. Trump also touched on shared concerns about the conflict in Gaza and Iran's nuclear program. The 34th Arab League Summit will be held in Baghdad on May 17, bringing together leaders and representatives from the 22 member states to discuss pressing regional issues, including the ongoing conflicts in Gaza and Sudan. the humanitarian situation in Yemen, and economic cooperation among Arab nations. This marks the first time in over a decade that Iraq will host the summit, signaling Baghdad's efforts to reassert its diplomatic role in the Arab world and promote regional stability. Security has been heightened across the capital, with authorities deploying additional forces to ensure the safety of delegates and smooth proceedings during the high-profile event. 2 crew on board are missing after the T-4 training aircraft crashed into a lake in central Japan. The aircraft was operated by Japan Air Self-Defense Force. According to the local authorities, the aircraft took off from the ASDF Komaki Air Base at 3:06 p.m. The plane disappeared from radar about 2 minutes later. In his third and final stop of his tour to Gulf nations, US President Donald Trump arrived in Abu Dhabi on Thursday. Trump was warmly welcomed by UAE President Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan upon arrival at Abu Dhabi International Airport. The two leaders are expected to discuss a range of issues, including economic cooperation, security, and technological innovation. The UAE, with its vast oil wealth and forward-thinking investments in AI and clean energy, is seen as a key partner in the region for the United States. During his visit, Trump is hoping to secure billions of dollars in business contracts that will further solidify the UAE's role as a critical player in the global economy. This visit reflects Trump's continued efforts to strengthen ties with Gulf nations, ensuring mutual economic growth and collaboration in future technologies. NATO foreign ministers gathered in Antalya, Turkey for a 2-day informal meeting to discuss ending the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Ahead of the meeting, United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio met NATO chief Mark Rutte, where Rutte appreciated America's efforts in resolution, while Rubio reiterated there is no military solution to the Russia-Ukraine conflict, stressing that a diplomatic agreement is necessary to bring an end to the war.
Really making progress. I think this is important. This shows American leadership not only on Ukraine, where it was the new American administration breaking the deadlock under the leadership of President Trump, but also now when it comes to the Middle East and of course all the other issues in the world, we collectively have to make sure stay stable, and we need American leadership, and you're providing that.
Whatever mechanism is outlined, whatever the process is that needs to happen, I mean, we are open to being constructive and helpful in any way we can to end the conflict. I will say this, and I'll repeat it, that there is no military solution to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. This war is going to end not through a military solution, but through a diplomatic one.
Germany on Thursday backed US President Donald Trump's demand to more than double NATO's defense spending target to 5% of GDP. Germany's new foreign minister, Johann Wadephul, said that Berlin is following Trump and see this as a clear commitment by United States to NATO's Article 5. Wadephul, who took office earlier last week as part of a new conservative-led government, was speaking at a meeting of NATO foreign ministers in the Turkish city of Antalya, where defense spending was high on the agenda. The first direct negotiations between Russia and Ukraine in Istanbul will take place late today, with Vladimir Putin not in attendance. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has arrived in Ankara, where he will be meeting with Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan, ahead of which he said that Ukraine would decide on the next steps in talks with Russia after this meeting. Meanwhile, he said that the level of the Russian delegation dispatched to Turkey for talks was a low rank and had an unclear mandate.
The level of the Russian delegation is not known officially to me, but from what we see, it looks more like it's on a decorative level. We will think about what we do next, what our next step will be after the talks with President Erdogan. I think we will have a couple of hours for important talks, for very important decisions.
Putin and Zelensky have not met in person since December 2019. Russia and Ukraine last held direct negotiations in March 2022 in Istanbul, shortly after Moscow launched its full-scale offensive of its neighbor. However, US President Donald Trump said on Thursday that he would go to Russia-Ukraine talks in Turkey on Friday if it is appropriate. He said, and I quote, "I was thinking about going, but it is very tough. If something happened, I would go on Friday if it was appropriate." For the talks, Russia's delegation includes seasoned officials, including advisor Vladimir Medinsky and Deputy Defense Minister Alexander Fomin. The US delegation to Turkey included Secretary of State Marco Rubio and senior envoys Steve Witkoff and Keith Kellogg. In a significant nationwide outreach effort, the 11-day-long Tiranga Yatra began across the country on Tuesday. The Yatra honors the courage and sacrifice of India's armed forces, particularly in light of the recently concluded and successful Operation Sindoor. In Jammu, Tiranga Yatra began from Indra Chowk and concluded at Press Club, drawing thousands of enthusiastic participants. Organized by civil society, the event saw people from all walks of life coming together, waving the national flag and raising slogans of unity and patriotism. While in Arunachal Pradesh's Likabali, a Tiranga Yatra was organized in support of the armed forces and Operation Sindoor. The Yatra was joined by several important dignitaries, including Kardo Anigior, Deputy Speaker of Arunachal Pradesh Legislative Assembly. In Rajasthan's capital Jaipur, Chief Minister Bhajan Lal Sharma flagged off the Tiranga Yatra from Jaipur's Albert Hall. A massive crowd emerged to participate in the Yatra to pay homage to the valor of the army. While in Uttar Pradesh's Varanasi, various voluntary organizations along with locals participated in Tiranga Yatra to honor the bravery of the armed forces and celebrate Operation Sindoor. And this is DD India Live. Time now for sports. The 7th edition of Kalo India Youth Games 2025 Bihar is concluding today with a grand closing ceremony. This edition of Kalo India Youth Games featured 28 disciplines. These included Olympic, non-Olympic and indigenous sports. Mallakhambh, Yogasana and Kho-Kho were among the traditional Indian games. Maharashtra continued its dominance, topping the medal tally with 158 medals. Haryana finished at the second place with 117 medals, while Rajasthan ended their campaign at third place with 60 medals. Karnataka and Tamil Nadu follow in the 4th and 5th positions. Diu is set to host the Kalo India Beach Games 2025 from May 19 to 24. The 6-day national event will be held under the Kalo India Scheme's Sports Competition and Talent Development vertical. Beach Games aim to promote beach sports and boost their popularity across India. The Union Territory of Dadra and Nagar Haveli, Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu had earlier hosted the Beach Games in January 2024. The event saw 1,127 athletes from 28 states and UTs competing in 8 disciplines. Building on that success, Kalo India Beach Games 2025 will feature 6 competitive sports: beach soccer, beach volleyball, beach sepak takraw, beach kabaddi and pencastilat and open water swimming. 2 demonstration sports, Mallakhambh and tug of war, will also be showcased. The event promises high energy action and a vibrant sporting atmosphere on the beaches of Diu. Bologna ended a 51-year wait for the major trophy on Wednesday after winning the Copa Italia with a 1-0 victory over AC Milan. Dan Endoi scored the goal in the 53rd minute, which gave Bologna a historic victory, its first honour since last winning the cup in 1974. Bologna hadn't ever been in a major tournament final since last winning the Italian Cup. It secures Bologna a place in next season's Europa League with Milan. FIFA's president Gianni Infantino on Wednesday said world football's governing body is targeting $1 billion revenue for the Women's World Cup. Infantino believes there's a huge potential for the sport to generate revenue outside Europe and stated that the revenue generated will be put back into the growth of women's football. The 2023 Women's Games hosted in Australia and New Zealand generated more than $570 million in revenue, and the 2027 edition will be held in Brazil. The FIFA Council had decided to expand the 2031 Women's World Cup from 32 to 48. Nottingham Forest forward Taiwo has woken from an induced coma after having surgery to repair a serious abdominal injury. He was taken to hospital on Monday, having collided with a goalpost in the closing stages of the 2-2 draw against Leicester City on Sunday. Having had the first part of the surgery on Monday, the striker spent Tuesday in an induced coma as medical staff monitored his progress as part of the procedure. He had the second stage of the operation, including closing the wound on Wednesday. He was subsequently woken from the induced coma in the early evening. Forest are set to open an internal review into the episode. That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screens to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.